Hindsighters, welcome to Keeping It Real with Miss T. Visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com. Subscribe, donate, advertise, and support other Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM podcasters, where there's always something good to talk about. Keeping It Real with me tonight, I have Clivette, Lisa, Shanique, and Sean. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So tonight, this is a real serious matter, so there is no need to beat around the bush. We're going to go right into it. So WNBA player Lisa Leslie, she softly slam dunked Gayle King's foul shot. Gayle posed the question that she already knew the answer to, and she even asked, what she thought was a fair question, and that was, is it even fair to question or talk about it being the case of Kobe's sexual assault that happened around 2003, 2004? So she wanted to know, was it even fair to even ask about that topic in this day and time, or at the time of, given the fact that he had passed along with the other lives that were lost, and if it's okay, or if it's really part of his history. So Lisa, she replied so eloquently with, the media should be more respectful of him and his family, and at this time. So I just really think that, in my opinion, that the timing was off. It was inconsiderate. It was, I don't want to say it was self-centered, but if there were any questions that could have been asked, there was more than ample time to do so while that man was living. And if you didn't do it then, and even though it was a dismissal of the case, there's no reason for that to hang over his legacy at this time. And that man at the time had not even been laid to rest. So now Gayle has apologized, of course, after giving all the backlash, which she probably wasn't expecting that. So my thing is, she needs to take accountability, because right now she is, as you guys know, she is blaming the network. But she has to be accountable. Right. So she has to be accountable for her part and her reason for questioning this. You cannot blame the network, regardless of what the network aired or what parts of the interview they played and what they edited out. At the end of the day, Gayle, you asked the question.
You asked the question.
And therefore, you got to stand your ground and own it, because if you were the puppet, you were pimped at the end of the day. So we all can be, and we can be reckless with our tongues, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, and at the time, that man, he, like I said, he just hadn't even been laid to rest. And here we go, talking about him. And instead of remembering him and the lives that were lost that day, you're up here worried about what happened, 16 plus years ago? That question was not of concern, and her demeanor was just off-putting. So y'all speak to that. I've said enough.
Here's what I feel with this situation. I do kind of feel like it may have been the network pushing that agenda, because I watched Gayle and her interviews with other people, and she seemed uncharacteristically
uncomfortable,
and you can tell that she didn't want to ask the questions, and she was not as passionate as she is when she's typically asking questions or stating her opinion. And I'm disappointed, because Gayle is at a point in her career where she doesn't have to fall for or adhere to something like that. I mean, I feel like she's at a point in her career where she can kick back. And if she's not, then she's definitely at a point in her life where she can do some kickback, because you're not a 20-year-old worried about your future stakes in broadcasting. I'm sorry. And this question was not coming up when Kobe was doing his camps, when he was with his philanthropic, endeavors. This question hasn't come up, and it hasn't been something that we've talked about for years. So I'm disappointed not only at Gayle King, but all of the other, journalists who have brought this up, because it's almost like we have lost our humanity. we have really lost our humanity when
but that didn't just start, Sean. It's like that's what they do to get ratings. It's like you said, when you looked at her face, she kept looking down.
Exactly.
You know, when she would ask certain things, or when she would try to come back after Lisa said something, Gayle King does not look down like that.
She does not.
She was. So that's the question. I hear you saying that she's grown out of that, but do they really? Because if you ask that question, you have not, made enough money to where you don't care.
Yeah,
you haven't.
It's disappointing.
Because a person that has made enough money to where they feel secure and they don't care, well, first of all, we just have to start caring, period, no matter how much money we're getting. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to get me to do certain things no matter how much money you paid me. Why? Because I have to come in my room every night and lay my head down and close my eyes and sleep peacefully. That was one thing, that my family always made sure of with us. If your conscience is not clear, you're not going to be able to sleep. It's certain things you won't get me to do, so I'll be gone. Fire me, adios, see you, and goodbye.
And
she wasn't to ask that question. Right. There is no time to ask that question after a person is gone.
She knew, as seasoned as she is, that there was going to be some talk after that. She knew that. So even if it was done for the ratings, what about you as a human being? Forget the ratings. What about you as a human being? What if that happened to your family? Would you like someone to have poor timing and poor judgment about asking about your family, whether it's going through a divorce or something happened with one of your children? Do you want that to be put on blast to everyone at that particular moment when you're grieving for whatever reason? It's not always a death, but it could be for other reasons. But for his family, his wife, his children, his mother, his everybody. So it's the matter of, it was timing. Poor judgment on her part.
And for her to cop out and say that, is it going to overshadow his legacy? I mean, we've already, his jerseys were already retired. It hasn't up until this point. So why is that such a concern?
Right.
Now
it's not.
It's callous behavior.
It's not. Exactly. It was like I say, or how I think, that is you have to, what is journalism about? Journalism is about getting a story first.
Not anymore.
Isn't that the big goal?
Not anymore. It's about your opinions now. I mean, nothing is unbiased. It's all for, it's almost like everybody is the Inquirer right now. Like back in the day,
exactly. But that's the Inquirer. The Inquirer gets information out, or I'm not going to say they do, because half of that mess is not right anyway.
Yeah, it's distorted.
They throw it out there. They throw something out there to get everybody's attention first. That's the issue. But exactly, that is exactly what they're doing. But when we get to a point, as you guys have said, that it is a family's, the children, not even the wife also, but the children. Can you imagine if one of the kids heard that, or one of their friends is texting them, do you hear what Gayle King is saying on television? Like you said, Sean, we have to get back to just being a human. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, period. Everything else needs to be null and void. I wouldn't do it to your daughter or your family, so don't do it to mine. And nobody rides with that anymore.
Well, I agree with all of you in regards to the blame is across the board for the network and for her. But the thing is, the way I looked at it is, when I heard it and I saw her video, is that I was suspicious when the network put out a reply and they were defending her. 99% of the time, when a reporter says something that the social media or the people are outraged about, the media does not comment and they do not support the reporter. So what I said is that, one, they told her to do it. And let's not forget, what was her last big interview?
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
All right. So now here's another one that's out here. Kobe Bryant is everywhere. Everyone's talking about him. So let's go ahead and outdo that last interview, because that was, I think, one of her best interviews ever that I know I've ever seen of her. And so now they're trying to outdo that last one. And
exactly.
Then secondly, when you see she was uncomfortable, you did see that she was uncomfortable, but she agreed as an adult, not about money. It's about, now let's be to talk about Gayle King doing another great report. Now, if Miss Lisa did respond another way, then this would have been her second best interview.
Exactly.
Because now she has someone else talking. She was not thinking about the kids. Number one, that wasn't her issue. Her issue was not, I'm not even going to say ratings, because now it's not about ratings. It's about how long your name is going to be out in the street for a week or 2 weeks on every different outlet. People playing different clips of what happened. When that R. Kelly thing happened.
Yes, but at the cost of somebody's family.
Exactly.
At the cost of somebody's family. But she is supposed to be better than that.
That's why I said I'm disappointed.
She's supposed to be better than that. The bottom line is, when are we as human beings going to be better than that? Going to be better than $1, going to be better than a rating, going to be better than everybody's talking about me again? When? That goes back to what Sean said. No humanity. I could care less. And the biggest, or correct me if I'm wrong, but the case ended how? How did that case end with that female?
It was dismissed.
Was it because?
And all honesty, ladies, I never even heard about it. But wait a minute, it was a reason. I never even knew this happened. I never knew this even happened.
It was dismissed, though, wasn't it? Because of her not giving them enough information or whatever? Okay,
no.
There we go again.
No, it wasn't enough information. It was that she had prior sexual partners prior to him, like within the 15-hour span. So within 15-hour span of her being intimate with someone else, it's just they also stated that, and this is alleged from what you read, you never know what's really true in the media. Allegedly, she has some mentalness going on and just issues, period. So by her previously having sex like with someone right before she had sex with Kobe, it was the DNA that was in question. So she in turn did not go and testify. So with her not testifying,
well, there you go. That's what I was looking for, because I knew it was something of that nature that she didn't go back and testify. Here's my thing. I was abused, and there is no way that I would not. The only reason why I didn't was because I was a kid. I was a child. But I didn't tell my parents until I was an adult with children.
Wow.
So that's my thing. Me now as an adult, me in my, if I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, it is no way that if that happened to you as a grown woman, no matter how it made you look, if this person is an abuser, you go sit down and talk, because they're gonna run you through the ringer anyway.
Right. But here's the crazy part. And before I go forward, I know Sean, you were trying to say some things. What did you want to chime in on?
I was just piggybacking on everybody's statement. I was reiterating that, it's no excuse. It's no excuse for the behavior. No excuse.
You're right.
Right. And see, here's the thing I think a lot of people are upset about. Now, I will say, when I listen to Snoop Dogg's, his message, a lot of people are upset about his message because he and Kobe allegedly were very, 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 very close. And, he was calling her being Gayle out of her name.
Oh, I'm sure he was. You know how he
yeah, real bad. And he even made the statement, Gayle, we're going, don't do that or we're going to come for you. And, people are like, oh my gosh, no, don't say that. And now Oprah is saying that Gayle is getting death threats. Now, We don't know if that's true or not. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't really know if I want to call her a journalist, but she's on TV. She's the media. We know that the media misconstrue things all the time. That's what they do. They need it for ratings. Right. They need it to pump it up. That's what they do to keep us going. We all know that the media doesn't always provide accurate information. They don't always give us the true facts at the end of the day. So when we look at this entertainment, because nowadays, think about it. Back in the days when there was media, you got straight news, right? Whatever
when there
happened.
was true journalism. That's why I said there's no more true journalism. We're doing the Inquirer. Minds want to know. The inquiring minds want to know. And that's what we're doing right now. Nobody's, you're supposed to be unbiased. Just the facts, please. But now it's not like that. Everybody is saying their opinions. Everybody is trying to get ratings. At what cost, though? And that's why I said we've lost our humanities when this is even a subject, period. Period. This shouldn't even be a subject that we are even talking about. And that's why I said I'm disappointed in Gayle, because whether or not it was for money or whatever, I feel like Gayle King is at a point in her career where this should not have been something that was forced on her or something that, she should have felt obligated to do. I just feel disappointed because you should have kicked back and said, listen, I know everybody want to know and everybody want to, see what Lisa Leslie is saying, but I can't do this. I can't.
Well, and people also making a statement that, we as a Black culture are our own worst enemies. We are consistently tearing each other down because, and granted, yes, other races tear those of color down as well. But when you do it to your own people, it's like, are you serious? It's one thing to call somebody out on facts. And it's another thing to tear somebody down. Where do you draw the line? I mean, this man had not even been laid in the ground yet. All of the people that tragically lost their lives on that day, their families are still grieving. And here you are bringing up this man's past. I mean, how do you explain that to his wife? You don't. I'll be honest with you. If I was his wife, I don't want an apology from Gayle. No. You don't. There is no need for you to apologize to me and whatsoever. Here's why. I don't want to say she's a non-factor, but you're a non-factor because you allow what you say the network to allegedly talk you into doing this, or not talk you into doing it. You stated that, Gayle, that they just cut it off. It was a 5-minute interview at Lisa's house. Really? So 5 minutes, out of that 5 minutes, you took 2 minutes to ask those type of questions. You could, like Sean said, you could have given pushback. It's the fact that you asked the question. You could have, like Sean said, you're at a point in your career and connections. I mean, if they would have wanted to fire you and Oprah's your best friend, go work at home. Go work at home. Exactly. Go work at home. Do not don't be a puppet to that when you have other resources.
That's right. If we're doing anything, whether we're on television or whether we're on the radio or whether we're just standing up at the school doing a meeting or something, if I'm reading something and I get down to a point, there's something that I don't want to say, I'm not going to say it.
You're not going to say it. You're not going to say it.
I'm not going to say it. I'll skip over that and go to the next point. Her as a journalist, her as a Black woman, her as a friend to friends should not have asked that question, period. That's the bottom line. The question shouldn't have been asked. If you want to ask that question, you had plenty of opportunities. Kobe is all over and was all over the world. You had plenty of opportunities to ask that question then. You could have asked it and got it straight from the horse's mouth. Period.
That's my point.
That question
the person
should not
she
have
asked was not even the appropriate person to ask.
Right. Even if
was
she
Miss
wasn't
Lisa there during the time? No. Was she playing on a team with them when it happened? No. She's just a female, an African American female, and a basketball player.
And she was. They said they were best friends.
They were best friends.
Yeah, they were best
friends. But still, you don't ask her that question. You don't ask the best friend that
question.
She's
lucky she got Lisa Leslie because
I was just getting ready to say,
it would have been a good interview, but it would have been a good interview from me. losing.
I would have took the mic off.
Yeah. I'd have kept the mic on so everybody can hear me. Run you up one side and down the other for asking me that question.
So you would have put R. Kelly.
That's how that would have.
I would have taken the mic off, and I would have politely put it down. No, wait. She was in Lisa's house, so instead of me taking the mic off, I would say, I need y'all to pack your stuff up and get out.
Exactly.
I need you in my house, you in my space. You coming here asking me that question about my best friend. I need you to get yourself and take your all these people, get it out now. And if I got to get you out physically, we're gonna let's come on. I'm gonna stand as we talking. I'm not gonna sit there while we talk. No, I'm gonna help you. You know how old people used to do. Now it's about time to go. No, they stand up. See, they stand up and they like get your coat and they ready for you to leave out. Now I told you to go. You get out. So I would have done that.
That's what I'm proud of Lisa for the way
she did very well.
I don't know if she did very well because you should have got up in that behind. That's what you should have did.
No.
You should have told her right then. When wait. I'm not saying any words that I probably wouldn't say on the radio, but just like Lisa said, getting in your behind is telling you pack your stuff and leave my house now. This interview is over. Now, one more word. I'm not explaining nothing to you. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I'm not trying to cover up for my friend. I'm not trying to make it better. I'm letting you and everybody that was watching your show know that this is a question that you should never have asked me, and you are leaving my house right now.
But sometimes some people have delayed reaction. I'm one of those people. I'm like, what? You could have seen her face, like she blinked and she moved a little bit, and she was like, and it's like, and I'm sure afterwards she probably thought what she could have said, and probably because I've seen her on The Apprentice, she's not a meek or a weak person. She speaks her mind, but I think that this just threw her so off guard, and it's like I know she felt like probably sick to her stomach that she even had to speak on it. I think that's what honestly happened for her, because she is an outspoken person where even for myself, sometimes people will do something and then I don't get the opportunity because either I'm so shocked or whatever about the situation, I don't speak on it, but then I'm thinking what I could have and should have done. And I honestly think that's what it was, because in her personality, she's very strong and she speaks her mind. I'm so impressed with her response. And she was even able to quickly give such a strong response on behalf of herself and Kobe and his family that I'm impressed with it. But like I said, some people, they're just good with, getting a throw ball. You saw her face. She's like, what, seriously? Did you just ask me that? She was not expecting it. I'm surprised, too. Most of the times when they do these types of interviews with these high-profile celebrities, they get a certain warning of the type of questions that are going to be asked. So I said to myself, one, did she feel that comfortable with Gayle that she did not ask for anything in advance? Because they typically share that with them. Or did Gayle throw that as a curveball and it wasn't part of what she was supposed to ask, and then she did? Then that's another thing. She's even more slimy, like the kids say, because you didn't even give her an opportunity to prepare to answer you.
Exactly.
Well, Shanique, in the world of media, you do give. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She was looking for that shock factor, let me just give her that question and see how she reacts.
She got it because she did, pause, almost like took a breath. Like, really?
Well, you have to also understand that, you will give questions, but your questions is basically just a generalized, like to keep you on topic, or it's just an idea. You might ask other questions inside of that because you always want it to be natural. You want it to flow. You want it to be more of a conversation. Even if it is an interview, you may touch on a few things and you want to kind of play off each other as you're having a conversation. So in this case, yes, there may have been some questions given, and then there may have been some additional questions. This one here, once again, is one of those sneaky questions. Okay, all right, here we go. This interview is going wonderful. We're going great. Lisa Leslie's comfortable with it. I love how this is flowing. And if you notice, there was a pause. So in that pause, it was like Gayle, and maybe I have to go back and look at it again, but to me, when I looked at it a couple of times, to me there was a pause of her questioning in her mind, Should I ask this question? Should I not?
Yes.
Should I ask this question?
And look at where her eyes were.
Exactly.
Her eyes were looking down.
Yeah.
Her eyes were looking down like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. Then she looks up, asks the questions, then her eyes go back down again. Your eyes, the way you said, your hand language, you know, head tilts, all of that have to do with how a person is really feeling about what they're saying. And to me, she was very uncomfortable asking that question. She knew, I don't think she knew, like you said, she was going to get that type of a backlash, but she knew she was going to get some. She had to know that his real close friends and this man has millions of people all over the world, you know, celebrating him. You knew you were going to get that type of backlash. So why would you even step into that puddle?
So you guys, ladies, how many of you guys knew of this before? Because I didn't. I never knew.
Oh, yeah, we
I remember he cheated.
Yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
It was jokes ongoing. I mean, it was a big deal. It was a big deal then. But we're talking 2003.
2003, 2004. That's over 16 years ago.
How many of us on the call, don't answer, this is rhetorical. How many of us on the call did something yesterday that we ain't pleased about?
Yeah.
Well, I can answer that. I ain't do nothing yesterday. Let me see. Yesterday? No, not yesterday. You know,
maybe you get what I'm saying.
No. Pause me. Lisa, you can't do that. You can't, Lisa, this radio. This is keeping it real with Miss T. You can't answer rhetorical questions and don't answer.
No. Okay, you know what? I'm saying, okay, let me put it to you this way. If y'all feel comfortable in answering that, I just throw out a rhetorical question. I'm just saying what that people do something because we do things every day and people may notice it. But okay, now we passed that stage. So here we bringing up something 10, 15 years later about, man, that's done. That's like done. You know what? Even when something happened yesterday, guess what? That's done. The person have grown from that. The person have said they're sorry. The person moved on. So why on God's earth are you going to continue to talk about it? It's not necessary. Now, it was a good point that D.L. Hughley brought up. He said, if you ask that question, he said, because that's what people do. He said sometimes like people with his jokes and stuff, people is like, I'm offended. He says, okay, whatever. He says, but if you ask that question, don't come out being sorry later because you already knew you were going to ask the question.
Right.
Don't act like you're a victim now. Right. Don't be a victim now. You already knew that when you were going to ask the question.
Be accountable. And that's what I said. You know how we always talk about, know the answer to the question that you're already asking. Why the heck are you doing that? That's like always something that's crazy that irks many people. You know the answer already, but you're asking it just because you know that this is going to be something that's Shanique, it is ratings because it's important for them to get the ratings. They need the ratings because they need to remain relevant. But like I was trying to say earlier before we go to break, media is not what it used to be back in the days. Nowadays it's all on how much information, how much silliness can I bring out? You know, news now.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, they're using profanity on the news now. I mean, they're just all lackadaisical with the news now. It's not, I don't want to say it's not professional, but it's just everyday stuff. It's like, well, heck, all of us can be news anchors at this point. Even the weather people are silly. I mean, they're playing music that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just, oh my word. They're playing it on the TV. They're dancing on TV, which is fun, is entertaining. I'm not saying not do it, but it's everything is now an act.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let us say this. Let us say this too. We are not what's the word? We're not dumbing down or taking away from the fact of any ladies having any type of sexual assault. Let me say that on record. Now, that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a case that was settled and was done. Right. Just in case any of you are out there thinking that, no, that is not what we are talking about here. We're talking about something after the case went to trial. It was done and it was over.
Right. And they did say it was consensual at some point.
Exactly. Yep.
So, all right. So with
That's
that,
right.
ladies, Hindsighters, we must take a break. And we ask you guys to hold on, and we will return shortly. Keeping it real with Miss T on Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM.
Does your company look or logo need a facelift? Help is on the way. The Spalding Agency is a brand design firm specializing in art direction, advertising, and marketing communications. They are a proud sponsor of Tea with a Twist. Visit online at spaldingagency.com. Follow at Spalding Agency on Facebook or call 404-487-8632 for all your creative needs. The Spalding Agency.
Welcome back to Keeping It Real with Miss T. Well, the ladies are truly keeping it real this evening. If you all are just joining us, welcome. We are here addressing Gayle King and her spinning the narrative to point Kobe Bryant, what many feel, in a negative light due to his past actions. Even though the case was dismissed, the media not just calling Gayle King out, because there are many other media out there of different nationalities that also address this before Gayle. So instead of the media taking this, taking this moment to mourn and give respects to the family of all the families that lost their relatives, Gayle took this moment, and some of the other media outlets took this moment to bring out something that was laid to rest 16 years ago. So that's where we were with that. So also, I believe it's Kobe's camp, they have created a page where people can donate. You feel welcome to go to www.mambasportsfoundation.org. Again, that's www.mambasportsfoundation.org. If anybody wants to donate to that, please go ahead, should you care to share. All right, ladies, so let's keep this real going. I once heard someone say that you can take the cat out the alley, but you cannot take the alley out the cat. Let me say that again. You can take the cat out the alley, but you cannot take the alley out the cat. What am I talking about on this Keeping It Real moment? Kevin Hart's wife and Nico Hart detailed. Okay, somebody's giving me echo. All right, there we go. So Kevin Hart's wife and Nico, she kind of detailed about how she learned of his cheating scandal in one of the Netflix docuseries. So in that, she gave a comment. She was talking about going through his past, and then Kevin said in his documentary, "Don't F this up." I guess that was the title of his documentary.
It is.
Well, Nico, she began to touch on the 2017 affair, and she felt that being that she was pregnant, I think she was like 7 or 8 months pregnant, somewhere around there, that she was hurt. But she was not ready to give up on her family, okay? So she was willing to go through this and through all this hurt because she was 8 months pregnant. And this was going to be their first child together. So now, many feel that, or Kevin's ex-wife, Tori Hart, they feel that she wasn't sympathetic towards her now successor. She wasn't sympathetic to her successor because
should I be?
Because she
sympathetic, really?
Well, yeah, she wasn't sympathetic to her successor because in Tori's mind, Tori still maintains the mindset that Aniko and Kevin, or that Aniko slept with her husband while they were still married. Now that's her take on it. We don't know. We weren't there. That's Tori's take on it, right? So after Nico poured out her heart, and she made the statement that she and Kevin were arguing almost every day. She wanted to know why did he do this to her? His penis or whatever it was all over social media, on IG and all these other social media, because someone who she didn't even know sent her this video of her husband doing whatever acts that he was doing, whatever this affair was. So, she wasn't very happy about it. But then in all of this, Kevin's ex-wife, Tori, made a post. And her post, it stated, now, mind you, let's get this clear. Her post did not have an at somebody or a tag somebody. It just said, girl, or let that anger go, girl. You did it to yourself. So let that anger go, girl. You did it to yourself. Now, many of her followers and many of other followers gave her some backlash to that. They felt like she was out of order. She shouldn't have said that. And there was assumption that she was speaking about Nico. Now, maybe so. But here's the thing. Is this karma? Is this karma? Because let's just say, in hindsight, allegedly, that Anika, whatever situation they were in, was actually having an affair with Kevin at the time that they were married, whether they were going through a legal separation. And we can get into that. If it's legal separation, it's okay to date or go be with somebody else. Now, if it's not a legal separation and y'all just going through y'all moment, y'all still trying to find out, there's no papers being filed yet, you're just in conversation about it. Now, that might be cheating. So let's talk to that. What do y'all think? Is this karma on Nico? Go ahead, Sean. Let's have it.
This one is interesting for me. I don't know about karma. I mean, I really don't. Here's what I do think. If, in fact, she was cheating with Kevin Hart while he was still married, or if she, did the right thing and waited till he got the legal separation, whatever. There are certain behaviors and there are certain things that you see done, and you have to be very cautious when you're entering into a relationship with somebody who has had these certain behaviors. Now, I don't know if she felt that this would not come up again or he wouldn't do this again, but you would be very cautious going into a new relationship. I wouldn't want to cast that on any woman. I wouldn't want to even speak on, if she in fact deserved something like that. I can't speak on that.
Okay. Look, one of the other ladies
she deserved it. I mean, I don't know.
I don't call it a karma. I call it a pattern.
Because there's certain behavior.
I like that.
I don't call it a karma. I call it a pattern. And I honestly do feel that, and I know a lot of people don't agree, but I do think that once you cheat, you're going to cheat. It could be different level. If you you cheated where you actually stepped outside your marriage or your relationship, and you want to work it out, and there's kids involved, you may cheat to the point where you may not step out again, but you find other ways to do things that are still unfaithful or disloyal to your partner. But for me, I don't think it's karma. I think it's a pattern.
Well, karma is more what you get back.
Right.
Or what the other person, it's not that, well, you could get your karma back, but in what she was saying was to Nico that, you did it to me, so now it's happening to you. That's where the karma effect came in on that. But I can't say that. I can't say that it's karma, and you definitely can't say that lepers can't change their spots, because they can.
I believe they can.
They can. Whatever your love is with a person, that's the yes or no. I can go out with my single girlfriends, and there can be, men at coming to the table for them. Some of their friends trying to talk to me. I'm the purse holder and popping my fingers and having my little drink and enjoying myself. Why? Because I know what I have at home is who I want, what I want. That's my husband. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Period. So you can't tell me blame it on the alcohol, because if you know that when you drink alcohol, you're going to have issues with not knowing what happened the next day, then don't drink it. If you're with people that you can't trust, you never know what's going to be put into your drink. So it's certain things that you do just, being a married person, but you can change. You can change from being that player to that, obviously, and this is something that she needs to deal with her husband, is if he did it to the last wife, and then he did it to you, whether or not, that might not be karma coming back to you, because we don't know what they did. The only people who really knew what happened between them is them.
Right.
Yep.
He could have people, his bouncers and his protectors and everything with him, his security. But nobody really, you could be in that room or standing outside of that room, but you never know what really happened inside that room except for those two. So you can't say that it's karma. Kevin just needs to grow up and decide whether or not he wants to be a husband and a father, or whether he wants to be a father and a player.
But
period.
You still want to play in the playground.
Exactly. You want to play in the playground or not? Yep. Because that's the bottom line. I don't think that is something that leopard doesn't change his spots. Yes, they can. Mm-hmm. They can, mm-hmm. And I've seen it done.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it done where guys are, this is my girl, and girls, this is my guy, because it's not always the guy. No, we do have some females out here that are doing the exact same thing. Yes. So my point is, either you are or you're not. Been enticed many a time, and I've been with my husband going on 30 years. So it has been plenty of times that rich men, fine men, cute men, my girlfriends are beautiful women, and we go places together. They're attractors. Mm-hmm. They're attractors. Mm-hmm. So it's always people coming over to our tables. I can either engage or disengage.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You get to make the decision. And
exactly. You make the decision whether or not you are going to hold this conversation. Let him buy you a drink. I'm saying this as a female. Let him buy you a drink. Let him sit down, exchange numbers, go out there and fast dance. Then you get to that slow dance, and then you go back to his house. You made that decision.
Yeah. That is true.
Right then and there. Yes or no. So I don't know. I don't think
why the focus. I mean, I understand, because of the allegations that Aniko was having an affair with Kevin, but I don't like how it's turned on. Like it's her responsibility for his behavior, she's being held accountable for his behavior.
But that's the issue with a lot of women. They blame the woman versus holding a man accountable. It's always
that's what I said. It's his behavior.
It's his behavior.
His behavior.
Exactly. But what's the first question that they always talk about? Like on shows where you see this, the first thing that it shows that you see where the husband is there and he's cheating, or the wife is there and they're cheating. A lot of times the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth is, you weren't taking care of him. No, that's not always not always
true.
No.
He could have obsessions with things. Yeah. This could be a problem.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is. But that's why they usually put it back on the woman. Oh, well, she wasn't taking care of her husband. You don't know that. And for all you young ladies out there that do have that as an answer, you need to know, sweethearts, that that's just what they tell you to get you to do what they want you to do.
Control.
Right. Exactly. Control. And if you can compare the difference, I could say maybe there's a possibility that his wife did not know about the first wife, because he was at the beginning stage of his celebrity fame. So maybe there's a possibility, because I do remember seeing her out with him before. So there's a possibility where she didn't know. But that little mama that did it this time with this wife, you knew he was married.
Yeah.
You knew of this lady because she's everywhere.
It's fame.
Exactly.
It's fame.
Exactly.
You need that 15 minutes. Here's the thing. When some women don't care. Let's keep it real. Some women just do not care. I mean, some men don't care. I cannot tell you how many married men hit on me on a regular basis. It's just what they just don't care. Or, they just, and some women just don't care. Men don't care. Women don't care. No matter what the gender is, they just don't care.
You just have some people that just don't hold relationships sacred.
Exactly.
They just don't.
We're at that point.
Yeah, they just don't hold it sacred anymore. So if you know you of a celebrity status, man, to me, you would be more on your P's and Q's because, okay, the person you're doing it with, you don't think somebody's filming you? So, I mean, hello?
You're more vulnerable.
Well, hold on.
Thank you.
Let's think about this. Forget you don't even have to be on celebrity status nowadays. If you have a smartphone and you're recording, everything's going to be on Facebook Live.
Yeah,
everything's going to be on
Instagram.
And you looking
on it. When you on Facebook Live, you can get embarrassed. Somebody saw you'll probably embarrassed. But when you are on that platform, you could lose everything.
Yeah, but that's any platform. That's you don't even have to be a star.
Right.
You can
that's
just
true.
I can go out with some of my girlfriends, and they they film something or somebody around us,
and then your boss sees it and your boss will see it. You can lose your job.
Stop doing it because all of these social media platforms, that's what they're for. And that's the thing I don't think a lot of our young and older people realize is that they built these platforms for a reason. If you're thinking about why you don't have a job, it's one or two things. They're looking on your Facebook pages because they starting to ask that on applications. Yeah. They're starting to ask for your Facebook. So all of the things that you used to say, they go back and find stuff when, 10, 12 years ago that you said. And for that reason, they're not the person for this office. Or their credit score is not good enough for you to be able to get this job. Or, somebody just wants to out you to somebody. So as soon as they made these phones with cameras, you guys can forget it. Yep. It's a done deal.
Yep.
And there's no respect. I tell you that I'll be honest with you. It is disturbing a little bit because now when you go places, somebody can just randomly record you just because they want you. Yeah. And there's no more privacy. And I that part of it sucks. I will, because you may not even be doing anything. You may not know anybody. Right. You get somebody angry and you don't know you made that person angry. Now here you go on some social media platform because that person, whatever you did, or they think you did to that person. So, it's
happened to me at Walmart.
What did you say, Sean?
So it happened to me at Walmart. I was in the checkout line, and there was a man. It was an older man, and I'm not even being funny. He did kind of look like he had something going on, mental health or deviance or whatever.
Oh, got it.
And he was kind of standing back to the side of me. His wife was standing directly behind me in the line, and I was checking out. And so the cashier, he was like, what you doing? And so then it got my attention, and I turned around. And so I'm like, what are you doing? And so his wife was like, put that down. And so he started going in on her, and he was like, just be quiet. Just be quiet.
What?
And so I said, I'm serious. I don't want you videotaping.
Exactly.
And so he was like, because the cashier was like, I'm going to get security. And so the guy, he stood there, and I was like, I'm serious. I don't want you taping me. And so he was just like not giving, and the guy went and got security. And so then he put it down when he saw that security was in fact coming. But I told my husband, I was like, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if I didn't get the sense that he was trying to get my PIN number, because I never do that anyways. But I seriously got the sense that there was some type of deviance there. And I was like, and it was kind of like Shanique says, you think about something, and then afterwards, I was like, I should have just went stone cold crazy off on this man.
Right.
You should have brought the Gary out on. You should have brought the Gary out.
Hey, something similar happened to me also, Sean. I was actually at a work interview, and it's a big company, not going to mention the name, but we're there, and you're there with a good 100 and something people. You're there for a couple of hours, and you just start talking to people.
Right.
Well, everybody might not, but I'm a talkative person. So we're sitting there having a conversation, me, a gentleman, two other females, and we're talking about how this job is going to go if we get it, that kind of stuff. And believe it or not, he had a son that was there also doing the interview with him. And before we know it, the son snaps a picture.
Oh my.
And I'm like, no, please don't do that. Well, I just want my mom just to see my dad still got it. Really?
What?
Go, Daddy.
What? Really?
Oh
no,
my.
sweetheart. But the crazy part is you're sitting there with us, so you hear part of the conversation anyway because he walked over. Let me change that. He walked over to where we all were talking. I guess he's seeing his dad talking to a group of women, so he's gonna come over and take a picture so he can show mom. I guess just in case any of us got a job and anything happened. Yeah, he was talking to her then. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop doing that because it was a legitimate, friendly conversation with people who are sitting at an interview, and you've come over there and taken a picture. And I said, please don't do that. Don't know if he erased it or not. But what can you do? You can't grab their phone and tell them delete that. So that's the problem, and and the issues is that they brought out these phones. We have big social media platforms, and you never know when somebody is taking your picture and or recording you.
And what
on all levels, yes, we have to be careful. But even more so, again, as we mentioned, if you are of a celebrity status, you have to be very careful about what your business, because again, you don't know who's putting other people up to doing stuff just to bring you down.
Right. Which was his case.
Exactly.
That was his case also. Exactly. It was supposed to be one of his friends that had set everything up. Don't know how that.
They weren't doing it to bring them down. Didn't nobody tell them to go out there and start doing it with nobody.
Oh, I agree.
No.
Totally.
We agree that. But it was set up, supposedly, don't know if that's true, allegedly, because I think it's still an ongoing situation, but everything was set up by somebody that was very close to him. Now that could have been a karma situation. You did it against your wife.
You have to watch the
No. I mean the karma when it comes back to Kevin. You were doing something against your wife, and karma came right back to you in that same instant that you did it. Because one of your best friends, you felt the hurt, the same betrayal that you imposed on her, you are now feeling. Because it was supposedly and allegedly somebody very close to you that set the whole thing up. Absolutely. So that's where the karma comes in, Neek.
Oh yeah.
That's the karma right there.
Wow, that's good stuff. Well, hindsighters, that is enough real for one night. So, ladies, I definitely want to say thank you for joining me and keeping it real with Miss T on Hindsight Media Radio 103.5 FM, where there's always something good to talk about. So again, thank you, and I hope to have you guys on this platform once again. So to my hindsighters, please do not forget to visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com. Subscribe, donate, and advertise. And we thank you for joining us tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you next Monday between 7 and 9 o'clock. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.